Watch this review here with a look at Superman from Mattel's Public Enemies line. When I first heard about this wave, I wasn't exactly enthusiastic about the whole Superman-Batman aspect of it. But because I wanted to get the Black Lightning and Major Force, as well as the Brimstone Collect and Connect, I figured that it'd be about as expensive just to buy the entire wave as to just try to get the individuals online or whatever, so that's what I basically did. And actually, after I saw Superman stores, I do really like this mold. At any rate, same packaging on all the other guys. Big panel of the figure, then little things here, no specific character details. Not that you really need the details with Superman, considering that he's probably one of the most recognizable comic book characters of all time, in addition to being a fixture within the American culture. Superman comes with the right arm of Brimstone in addition to a stand. Believe it or not, the arm happens to snap into the torso of Brimstone, like so. Of course, you'll need a little pressure. Here we have Superman right next to his bestest buddy in the whole wide world, Batman. They're the two best friends that ever were. But, little do they know that there could be roommates. Yeah, that's right, a super-powered, slightly messy, super strong dude with a, neat freak, super genius detective guy. Yeah, they're the original Odd Couple. But yeah, it's always really struck me a little bit odd that you'd have, I guess because they're the two flagship characters, and they're kind of polar opposites, but they've always been a kind of weird partnership. Even weirder than Batman and Robin, if you could actually believe that. Public Enemies movie kind of reminded us of this whole disparity too, because whereas Superman could take out like the entire Batman villain roster without too much difficulty in most cases, Batman struggles against like almost every Superman-ish villain and all those high-powered guys. I mean, Batman kind of holds his own against a few guys temporarily, but I mean, a lot of that's just due to trickery, whereas Superman just takes them out like an instant. But yeah, weird partnerships. Quick Superman comparison here. On one side we have the DC Superheroes kind of bow-legged one. On this side we have the Wave 6 Calabac variant, which is basically the same one that they reused for the Gotham City 5-pack, except for not as much hair. And in the center we have the version I'm currently looking at. First off, you'll notice that this is the tallest one. He's about 6 3/4 inches, whereas this is about 6 1/2, and he actually looks a little bit shorter, but I thought he was about 6 1/2 as well. I don't know. Point-wise, I didn't like how pale this one was. And I kind of liked his tan, but, he's a happy medium there. Also, in terms of just differences, he's got no Superman crest on the cape there, and neither does the DC Superheroes version, which I'm not sure if it's a big impact. I can't remember whether or not he had the crest on the cape or not, but in the movie, but I can't. Close-up of the DC Superheroes version. Close-up of the Public Enemies version. And a close-up of the Calabac Wave version variant. Now, in the case of the Public Enemies one, there's like no empty space here in the S, but both the other ones have a more stylized S. There's like this little triangle on the inside there. Also, you'll notice that the Superheroes has like the widest crest by far, whereas this one's got a kind of thick lettering, and this one's got a really thin lettering. If you've seen the Public Enemies movie, by the way, you'll realize that this is a okay likeness of the character. They captured the chin effect they had in all the characters pretty well. And the general sculpt of the face is very similar. The one real drawback here is on the hair. In many of the scenes, there's like kind of a white lightning-ish streak, like a highlight in his hair, but which is completely absent from this figure, and I thought it would be a very nice touch if they had it, but of course they don't. Other than that, I'm just really satisfied with the likeness and, just the general overall look of this figure. There are a few other differences also worth pointing out. For one thing, the Public Enemies version just doesn't have as much detail on the boot, whereas all the other versions of this figure have this little indentation stuff to represent, more of a style thing on the boot. In addition to that, there's no red marks on the belt, I guess for the belt loops or whatever, which is kind of strange too, considering even in the movie he had the red marks on the belt, so I'm not sure what's going on with that. In addition to that, you'll notice that the color blue is more of a pastel. It's a lighter, kind of less vibrant blue than both of those versions, which are a little bit deeper, a little bit more exciting. I mean, it's not really a huge thing. I mean, it's more of a preference than anything else. And cape-wise, the Public Enemy cape is kind of in between the two. I mean, the DC Superheroes version has a really soft, rubbery cape. This one's a slightly harder cape, and then this one is practically just a tough plastic. There's not a lot of give at all. But once again, it's not like you can really manipulate the capes much, because they'll basically go back to the same position no matter what. Well, I guess you could probably paper clip them or something if you want to go for an effect, but I mean, they're all sculpted, so no matter what, you're kind of screwed. You can't really do anything with them. Just quickly compare. Very similar cape effect on this one. If I were to play favorites, I'd have to say that I definitely like the upper torso most on the DC Superheroes version. But, I'd really prefer the lower torsos, like on the Public Enemies and the DC Universe Classics, Wave 6. Hair-wise, I'm kind of a give or take. I mean, I kind of like the longer hair, but the short hair also really works for the character. I mean, it's really tough to go for a bad Superman look, but, But I mean, most of my preference for this, I think, is probably the fact that the logo is a lot wider, and then the cape almost goes down to where the logo is, or the crest. Whereas this, the cape's a lot further up on the shoulders. By the way, there's a variant for this guy with a more metallic look, which doesn't look too bad. I mean, if I saw both of them in the store at the same time, back when I was getting this wave, I probably would have had a minor conflict in trying to decide which one to go for, but in the end I think I might have probably just picked this one anyway, but because I prefer the more traditional look. I'm not sure where the metallic's really coming from, but the metallic does look pretty decent. In terms of articulation, though, we have a rotating wrist. This is all basically standard DC Universe Classics, though. A single joint here at the elbow, rotating bicep, a arm joint at the shoulder, slightly hindered by the cape, but, not a lot. Head rotates, goes up a little bit, but, not enough for a flying character. When you have a flying character, you want that head to go up as far as possible, so to be all like, woo. But he can't go woo and stays just whoa. Ab/diaphragm joint here. I mean, I've messed around with it a little bit, but no matter what, it seems to give me a fair amount of resistance. Not a huge deal. Waist rotates a full 360. Nothing will impede it. Standard leg. Not much to say. I mean, when you're going back a little bit, you might hit into the cape, but other than that, no problem. Thigh rotates a full 360. Single joint here at the knee, and a single joint here at the ankle. So you kind of have a up, and away, or actually you'd probably do it like this. Which is how I may or may not have them posed. I'm not sure yet. The problem with the stands is, they have this little peg so far to this side. I don't know if it was just because they've got this logo here, but I mean, it looks really weird when you stand a lot of the figures up if you want them just to stand normal. Because there's all this space over here, so you kind of have to go for a cross bow-legged look. Which, I mean, isn't the kind of look I like for these characters. To each their own. On the whole, for a character that you might be buying more or less just to build the collect and connect, you could actually do a lot worse. But on its own merits, the Superman doesn't thrill me as much as I thought it would. Don't get me wrong, it's still a pretty cool looking figure, but it doesn't distinguish itself as much as I'd like it to from the rest of the pack in terms of Superman available. Although, this definitely fits within the line itself because it's got more of the animated look. However, if the Collect and Connect wasn't on the table and I was just buying him for him, I'd probably have to pass. Not because this is a weak figure, mind you, but just because there's so many other Superman available that's like a blessing and a curse. There's just so many options, and out of all those options, I don't think this is one of the strongest ones. But still, it's a half-decent figure. Till next time, folks.